broke if they don't get our business, you know, on any model of management that we end up
Is it
deciding.
conflict of interest if it's a friend?
Is it a conflict of interest? Well, I'm not getting anything from this friend other than friendship. Oh, I see, it was a joke, sorry. It's been so serious around here the last couple of months, I've forgotten what a joke looks like. All
So
right.
Jason, back to your saying that you and the board are going to look at management, what companies, et cetera. We have people who are knowledgeable, who have signed up to say we would like to be a part of that decision making. Will you include these people?
Sure.
Okay.
Everybody who's expressed an interest, the family that came up with, you know, who did some legwork,
The
Seam,
counts. This is
Scott,
Lorraine and her
all
son
sorts of
Michael.
people that have been in this group that's been meeting. I mean, when I get firm proposals and assessment from this professional advisor, I'm going to make, this is going to be presented at the October meeting, but I'll try to get it enough in advance that all these people will have a chance to look at it so they can come to the meeting. Because we try to do that with our meetings, but we haven't always been professional about that either. So often we get to the meeting and we're reading the material for the first time, and so it's hard to make a good judgment. So yes, I'll make that stuff available once we've got it.
And take their input from the ground
sure.
up, not just what you have chosen to show to them. But
No,
take their input.
look, I'm going to do this as openly as possible, but you
Okay.
also have to realize that no ship is steered by a committee of 30.
We're
That's
not-
why I got this professional
Yeah,
manager.
we're not
I'm going to
in-
let her tell me what she thinks we need,
But she,
and then I'll report that information to everyone else, and there will be a back and forth of that.
okay, but
But it's not going to be decided by this, democratically by this committee. You know, it's going to be decided by the board.
I'm not asking
Under,
that.
good, under
Because
your
we had-
input.
We had a
Get all
man
your input.
here at the board meeting who talked about roofing, said he was a roofer, and he was cut off, and I think he should have been approached and say, come give us your input. I don't even know his name, but if anybody does, I think we should include him.
You know, we're game to listen to anyone who knows someone who has expertise that's related to any of the
Well,
problems we have.
We have an
But I
open,
do want to say that since I reiterate the point I made to where this falls relative to the issue of who's going to be managing the place and how will we go forward? How should our budget look? How many employees should we have on site? Should we have off-site people taking care of grounds? Should we have off-site people taking care of plumbing emergencies? You know, universally, and if we have on-site people, do we have them doing much less? Maybe, I don't know. But until those decisions are made, deciding on exactly which people are going to advise those people who are going to be managing this facility with some advice from the board. My ambition is, let me explain another thing, because maybe it's not clear. Right now, I am half-time manager of this facility. I'm not a professional. I wasn't hired to do this job. I don't have the time for it. And I make mistakes all the time with it. You know, in this meeting already, several times, etc. Because of that, you know, it seems to me that that's the first order of business. There are lots of, I've been getting all kinds of what maybe is very good advice from all kinds of sources, but I'm not in a position to evaluate this advice. I need someone who is in a position to evaluate it, to take over. When they're in place, bring on the advisors. That's what a professional is supposed to be able to do. They can look and say, well, yeah, he's a roofer, but he hasn't done this kind of roof. Or, you know, or he's planning to do it with his buddies and they're going to take a discounted rate and he's not bonded. Judy, I'm not saying that that's true, but you don't know that it isn't true. And my job is to make sure that we don't make arrangements with any contractors without making sure that they're bonded, that we're protected if we give them money, that they won't take a hike with it. And so I'm happy to listen to anyone, but I think it's better that this go, you know, this be added to the agenda later. Do you understand why I'm saying that?
well, I'm concerned that you're talking about details, and I'm talking about how do we choose the manager. Give some input to that process. You're talking about hiring a manager to take over what you've been doing. We're wanting to give input to that.
And I've already said that I'm going to take, we the board, not I personally, but we the board are going to take input, and those people who want to give advice about those issues and bring,
Okay.
you know, if you want to recommend other, because the person who's giving us this advice is not giving us advice about, here's what mock will do for you. This person's going to be giving us advice that we should take into account whomever we hire.
Are we
Then there'll be a
paying this
process of deciding who we do hire, if we hire.
Is there a process for providing input as a homeowner to
There
this?
is, the process is to come to the meetings or to be a part of a subcommittee. At the moment, we don't have a subcommittee that's addressing this because we don't have a process in place yet. This is informal, something I undertook on the basis of lots of things I was hearing from at the time of the assessment meeting and with talking to many homeowners since. So I'm trying to jumpstart this. The formal process will be in place in October. There will be a subcommittee that's going to be given the job of looking at the recommendations and then looking at how to implement them, and that's when all this advice is going to come in.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I think we should keep it professional and pay someone. You get what you pay for. I think
I
that's
agree.
the only way to go. No
Well,
friends, no friendship.
Well,
I
let me,
think you should pay, we should pay for it.
well, let me point out that
I
we
would like
are
to
going,
know
we
what
are,
I'm paying
go-
for.
we are going to pay her when she comes to the meeting, because that's going to be in her capacity as a professional.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Because you were just
Sorry.
saying, sounded like this was a little
Look,
funny thing.
I was just trying to tell you how I found out about this
Okay.
person who seems to know every damn thing that I asked a question about, which was pretty impressive, you know.
This is
But
great.
this, absolutely. I mean, and she wouldn't think of coming, she's not going to do that part for free, but she was giving me advice about, well, is this a good idea? I was feeling her out about, well, what would you be recommending? Are you trying to get business, or is this just something
Okay.
that you do? And it turns out it's something she's done for other HOAs. It's not just for her business. Because any smart business person, offering these services recognizes
This
the benefit of being available. Yeah.
I know everybody here would feel really comfortable if you could say to us with some degree of certainty that within 3 months, 6 months or something, we're going to have contracted somebody to do a reserve study. Is that something that we can expect
Yeah.
within a very short period of time? Not only that, but also a management company, because I think most people would like a management company to handle all this.
My ambition is that we have decided on this by the time we're heading into the budget season in November, so that we would agree on something at least by then. And we might have to actually slow down the budget process until December so that the professionals can come in and advise us. I would rather slow down the process of settling on the budget, to get this underway. And I think if we do get any professional to take over, whatever model it is, whether it's keeping some of the on-site staff and having an Uber manager, or we have an Uber manager and only off-site people, and some people who answer the phones and only answer to that Uber manager. I mean, there are various models she's mentioned. I don't know which one fits, but then they would decide about, I'm sure that they would recommend immediately a reserve study. It isn't like it's that expensive. I mean, that's why it's scandalous that we haven't already done it. Yes.
I just would like to know how committed we are to siding, contractors, roofers, things. Have we signed contracts with people? Are we firm?
As far as I know, the only contract we signed.
Bradley will walk away from me. He's very busy. He doesn't care. He
That's
has a
what-
million
see,
roofs to do.
This is great.
But
So
I
we
have an
signed
active
them.
fleet, people. I mean,
No,
30
I understand.
3,300 is.
It's okay, that's fine. So, the answer to your question is, no, we don't have
He doesn't
contracts
care.
with anyone.
We
We are
rotate
going to
jobs
sign
if we
a
want.
contract with this siding company. And I haven't heard anything from anybody. And we have actually polled other siding companies. We did this originally. We talked to 4 or 5. We had people coming in from out of state. These guys' prices and the fact that they're willing to, to carry this cost over 3 years with no interest makes their proposal, given that they have done work for us before and the work was excellent. I've heard no complaints about the work. So I do think it's fair to say that the siding project is going to be, we're going to sign a contract on that this month.
And that, insulation,
We're looking into that.
I'm just curious because we've got the assessment money due at the end of this month, and it sounds like things are going to possibly be pushed back in terms of the work and things like that. So,
Well,
but
yeah.
and one of my concerns is, particularly with the siding, things seem to continually get pushed back. Like we talked about siding, we've been collecting that whatever the amount of the increase to the assessment for years to put siding on buildings. We could have 5 or 10 buildings sided already, theoretically, but we've only done 3.
Yeah.
So I want there to be professional advice, I want good decisions to be made,
You want it to be made timely, you want to
but
get
I
that stuff
think
going.
that from your talk during the assessment meeting, there's some critical things that need to be done even before this week.
Yeah.
So
And the
I'm
one
just
roof
wondering
is,
how you're gonna piece all this together and,
as best we can.
well, right.
But I mean, the fact is that we're gonna commit to the siding project. It's a part of what we told the homeowners to expect as a result of this assessment. We can't back away from that. We might be able to improve on it,
Right.
just as we might be able to improve on the roof replacements if we can add insulation in, if we can afford it. And if we can't, then we can't. But we are definitely, I mean, the reason for the assessment was because of the problem you just mentioned and the fact that we have ongoing problems that were expensive. So the idea is no more pushing back. We've got to get this going. We've got to get some projects underway now. If we become convinced that we are going to that we can get through the winter and then do a whole bunch of infrastructure work next spring, as soon as the thaw comes, if we need a thaw, it's not clear we will, but let's suppose we needed a thaw, there is a thaw, then we would, maybe by then, if we had a professional manager by then, they might be in a position, we might, by delaying a little bit, get a better deal, we might get better roof bids. So I don't want to commit to a date and a particular contractor, but the siding project, I don't see any alternative out there. And I think we're going to have to start that. And if we have the money, I believe, now for the down payment, and they promised once they had the down payment, they would start doing siding. And they would do 1 or 2 buildings this fall, maybe 3.
I think to some degree, maybe you're misunderstanding some of the push of my question is that I really want to know, we keep talking about professional advice and things like that. It seems to me like we need the professional advice to make the decisions. And we keep talking about pushing things back. We need to, I just would like to encourage the board to make a resolution or make a decision about professional advice and professional management as quickly as possible, because I would be much more comfortable with having decisions made after we've had all the things that we've discussed in this meeting.
Yes.
In terms of
Okay,
management,
so-
assessments and appraisals.
I get that. Here's the problem. We didn't wake up. This board did not wake up. I didn't wake up and realize that we finally have to have professionals advising us about management. And believe me, it's not a no-brainer. I was on the subcommittee 6 years ago when we were considering off-site management. And here's what I found out. When we talked to people then, we kept running across people who lived in places where you couldn't get anyone to show up to fix your unit. We heard a lot of horror stories. One of the reasons this bill that Woody, who's probably not here anymore, one of the reasons that bill got passed to regulate this into the management of HOAs was because of off-site management that was abusive. It wasn't just HOAs, the boards, it was mostly off-site managerial companies who were exploiting the money they were getting and not delivering the services that they should have. And so that was what made us nervous. And so I think you're pointing out a real problem here that I think we just have to try to get through this as artfully as we can. We can't really wait 6 months while we get all of this about management sorted out and perfectly aligned so that we no longer have worries about that. We're going to have to take what expertise we have, and we're going to get advice from this manager about these projects. I mean, this managerial advice is going to be made about the infrastructure assessment. So we will get some advice in an ongoing way, but I can't promise that we will just wait to make any decisions because unfortunately we've already committed to an assessment.
Change it.
No, we actually can't, because some people have already given us money. Yes.
Hi, I'm Lynn Harvey at 3300. I feel really strongly and passionately about the buildings getting insulated before they get sided. I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Great, good.
And the question with when we do start signing contracts, will those contracts be made available to